A lot of firsts took place in WWE in 2013. Roman Reigns was pinned for the first time in a WWE ring, Randy Orton won the first unified world title at TLC, and John Cena and The Rock faced each other for the first time ever, if you ignore the previous year's WrestleMania, that is. Alongside all this, there were also plenty of first-rate matches, but which will be our very own number one? There's only one way to find out, and it's not by skipping to the end of the video. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 best WWE matches of 2013. Join us! Number 10, CM Punk vs. The Rock at Royal Rumble. At the Royal Rumble, WWE's first pay-per-view of 2013, CM Punk's era-defining WWE Championship reign ended when that bloke from the Tooth Fairy hit him with his elbow. The Rock initially lost his title match against the Voice of the Voiceless thanks to interference from The Shield, but after the say-so of Vince McMahon, the bout was restarted, allowing the Great One to become champion for the 8th time. This result was not what a lot of people wanted, as they were keen for Punk to remain champion going into WrestleMania 29, but the match itself was still a lot of fun. Rock wasn't the pin-sharp in-ring performer he had once been, but his sheer megastar presence and storytelling ability was enough to make up for it. Punk was also very much a ring general and was able to get the best out of part-time Dwayne. It helped that this was a clash that had been building for quite some time, ever since Punk turned heel on The Rock back at Raw 1000. A big-time sports entertainment main event worthy of such a historic title change, this journey was a good time, even if the ultimate destination was a tad underwhelming. Number 9, Brock Lesnar vs. Triple H at Extreme Rules. WrestleMania 29 wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't particularly thrilling either. This can be seen in the match between Triple H and Brock Lesnar, which was fine, just not the all-out war people wanted. For that, we would have to wait another month. At Extreme Rules, the Beast in the game went on last inside a steel cage, which immediately added some of the edge that had been missing from Mania. Seeing Brock in a cage for the first time since his UFC days brought back some happy memories, and whilst this never got as brutal as an octagon fight, it was still pretty intense. Lesnar and Hunter beat the heck out of each other, making great use of their extreme environment to amp up the action. The Cerebral Assassin tried every trick in the book, including a sharpshooter and a hidden sledgehammer, which sounds like a euphemism, yet isn't, but Lesnar eventually got the pin after Paul Heyman intervened. Maybe it wasn't great that Brock needed a manager's assistance to help him prevail, but this was still a great bout with plenty of memorable moments and enough violence to satiate all you sadists out there. Number 8, Cody Rhodes and Goldust vs. The Shield vs. the Usos at Hell in a Cell. One of the best rivalries of the entire year in WWE was the one between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Wait a second, that sounds familiar. Before they were duking it out in the main event, Cody and Roman were part of a tag team feud alongside their respective partners, Goldust and Seth Rollins. These two duos had been involved in the WWE Tag Team Championship picture, more on that later, and were joined by Jimmy and Jey Uso for a title showdown at Hell in a Cell. This three-way match was an absolute blinder, full of great sequences involving these 5 young whippersnappers and Dustin Rhodes, who is seemingly incapable of aging. The teams meshed together wonderfully, and they managed to stack this sub-15-minute encounter with enough high spots to fill a match twice as long. Cody once again got the winning pinfall, this time on Seth, to retain the gold for himself and his face-painted brother. At a time where tag team wrestling was very much on the back burner in WWE, it was refreshing to see a division full of great characters show what they were capable of when given the time. Number 7, the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match at Money in the Bank. The SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match, which crowned Damien Sandow as its winner, was pretty damn great, but its red brand equivalent was superior thanks in part to its all-star cast. CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Christian, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and a returning Rob Van Dam all vied for the chance to call their shot against the WWE Champion, meaning that there were 5 former or future winners of the briefcase in this one match. Poor Christian. The gang's expertise in this field was evident from the get-go, as there were spots out the wazoo that probably hurt a lot of the wrestlers' wazoos too. Van Dam hadn't lost a step, dropping fools left, right and centre with kicks, flips and frog splashes. Punk provided some great drama when he was turned on by Paul Heyman, and Bryan, who was approaching the peak of his popularity, was wrestling like a man possessed. In the end, Orton hits a vicious RKO on RVD by pulling him off a ladder, which he then scaled to claim the prize for himself. This This was set in motion the events leading into WrestleMania 30 and all that good stuff, a fantastic end to a fantastic match. Number 6, Cody, Rhodes and Goldust versus The Shield on Raw. A strong contender for this list was the match between the Rhodes brothers and The Shield at Battleground, which saw Cody and Dustin win back their jobs in glorious fashion. However, we here at Cultaholic like to shine a light on the less remembered moments in wrestling history, such as the night the Rhodeses beat Reigns and Rollins again, this time for the tag straps. On the October 14th episode of Raw, Dusty's sons fought the Big Boss Man's sons in a no DQ match, and it was amazing. All of the emotion from the Battleground match was on full display, only this time there was gold on the line too. There was a great mixture of classic wrestling and hardcore brawling, especially when the weapons came out in the final stretch. Dean Ambrose got involved to turn the tide against the babyfaces, but he was countered by The Big Show, who just so happened to be a babyface that week. Show helping the Brotherhood, maybe that was a bit unnecessary, but the crowd absolutely loved it. The brothers would go on to hold the gold for over 100 days before dropping them to the New Age Outlaws. Really? Okay then. Number 5, John Cena versus CM Punk on Raw. Many of WWE's greatest rivalries have ended on big pay-per-views like SummerSlam and WrestleMania, but not this one. This one came to a close on an episode of Monday Night Raw. John Cena and CM Punk had been fierce rivals ever since the latter beat the former at Money in the Bank 2011. They had crossed paths numerous times, often with the WWE Championship involved, until they met one last time on February 25th, 2013. This wasn't just any match though, as the winner would go on to face WWE Champion The Rock at WrestleMania 29. With both men having legitimate claims to the title, the tension was thick as butter as these two modern giants clobbered each other for over 25 minutes. This is of course the match where Punk famously busted out a piledriver on his opponent, a move that had been long banned in WWE, but it also saw Cena hit a bloody Hurricane Rana. Must have learned that one from Juan. Following a gripping back and forth tussle that reminded everyone why these two were so good together, John pinned Phil to punch his ticket to the grandest stage, which everyone under the age of 7 watching was thrilled about. Number 4, CM Punk versus Chris Jericho at Payback. Though their most famous matches happened in 2012, CM Punk and Chris Jericho still found time to tear the house down the following year. Punk had been absent from TV in the run-up to this encounter at Payback, which left Y2J to build the match with Punk's manager instead. This might sound like a bad thing until you remember that Punk's counsel at the time was Paul Heyman. When Payback rolled around, the best in the world and the other best in the world reminded everyone why they had earned the right to those nicknames. They were absolutely dynamite together in the ring, chaining move and move together without a single hiccup, helped along by an absolutely electric crowd. Where did this match take place? Oh, Chicago, that explains it. Following a blistering display of wrestling talent, including a wicked code-breaker counter from Jericho onto a springboarding Punk, the Illinois native hit 2 back-to-back go-to-sleeps on his enemy to pick up the W and send his hometown fans home happy. Number 3, The Undertaker versus CM Punk at WrestleMania 29. The reason why CM Punk wasn't around to build his match with Jericho was because he had been taking time off after putting on another of the year's best matches. After he lost to John Cena in that classic on Raw, damn Punk had a good 2013, Jack Perry's best friend set his sights on another target, one that if he could overcome would guarantee him a mythical place in wrestling history. The Undertaker had been goaded into facing Punk at WrestleMania 29 after he and Paul Heyman had mocked the recently deceased Paul Bearer. Tasteless? Yes. Compelling? Absolutely. Necessary? Nah. This was Taker's first Mania match since the conclusion of his epic 4-year saga with DX, so there were some concerns that this battle wouldn't live up to the hype. But then the bell rang and everybody realised that they had been worried over nothing. This pairing produced magic as Punk's dastardly heel persona perfectly elevated Mean Mark's old gunslinger character. The dead man had become a master of making it look like his streak was in jeopardy, only to flip the script at the last minute and win the day, this time by tombstoning Punk into the next century. That's what you get for mocking Percy Pringle, you prick. Number 2, John Cena versus Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. Ever since his humiliating 18-second loss to Sheamus at WrestleMania 28, Daniel Bryan had been steadily building support to the point where he landed a WWE Championship match at SummerSlam against none other than John Cena. Not wanting to miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime, Bryan wrestled his little vegan heart out, taking the fight to the champion with furious speed and stiff offense. Props to Big Match John too, who not only put on one of his all-time best performances, but did so with an injured elbow. That man simply isn't human. In a shocking finale, Bryan bust out his running knee finisher for the first time ever to pin Cena clean as a sheet. This marked his first ever WWE Championship victory, and then Triple H stuck his massive beak in. The Game, who had been special guest referee for the bout, turned heel by hitting a pedigree on Bryan, allowing Randy Orton to cash in Money in the Bank and forming the group that would be known as the Authority. An awesome match with a dramatic ending to be sure, but it wasn't the best thing fans had seen that very night. Number 1, Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk at SummerSlam. The Beast versus the Best. I truly hope whichever member of the WWE marketing team came up with that got a nice bonus, because it's literally been over a decade and I still remember that tagline. Better luck next time, CTE. Brock Lesnar had been making CM Punk's life a living hell, which may have had something to do with the fact that he was now being managed by Paul Heyman, Punk's old squeeze. The stage was set for a showdown at SummerSlam, Lesnar's brute force and animal power versus Punk's striking ability and ring IQ. The eyeball test might suggest that Lesnar won this match by simply picking Punk up and eating him, but the Second City Saint did an incredible job in pushing the next big thing to his limit in this no DQ fight. He looked to have him beat on a number of occasions, but Heyman kept getting in the way, eventually allowing Brock to hit a chair-assisted F5 for the win. A fantastic David vs. Goliath story featuring a grab bag of wrestling goodies, grapples, submissions, weapons, you name it. Lesnar vs. Punk remains amongst both men's best ever performances, which is high praise indeed.